Today, I'm sharing an amazing client success story about a woman who has completely gotten out of her own way to evolve her business and evolve her as a person. The other thing we are going to talk about is, as women, it's okay to just want something and to give ourselves full permission to do it. And I know there is so much goodness inside this episode for you. Hey, I'm Amanda, and welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast, where I will teach you how to coach yourself, how to coach your clients, and how to run your coaching business. The number one goal of this show, though, is to help you be the best damn coach you can be so your clients go out and tell the world about you. So, let's do the damn thing. Before we get started on this week's episode, I want to tell you about some of the amazing bonuses we are offering as we start 2023 inside the Best Damn Coach community. If you don't know much about the BDC, this is a community for coaches and online practitioners who want to be better at coaching. You care about delivering amazing results to your people. You want to be a coach, in fact, the best damn coach you can be. And you also want to work on growing the skill of entrepreneurship and building a coaching practice around other people who get where you are at. And that's what the BDC is all about. We want you to have the confidence and competence to lead people so that you stand out from all the other people doing what you do. And this month inside the BDC for January only, we are offering some amazing bonuses. Right now, when you join, you will get a 1-to-1 2023 strategy mapping session with me. This means you and I come together, we look at your game plan for 2023, and we fill in the nooks and crannies and the gaps and the areas of struggle so that you feel totally confident about hitting your goals in 2023. The other thing we are also offering is a plug and play option to build your own website, landing pages, sales pages. We have partnered up with an amazing all-in-one platform called Simplero, and we have created templates so that you can just drag and drop and put in copy so you don't have to design from the beginning. And both of those are massive bonuses inside the program when you join us this January. So to learn more about the Best Damn Coach program, head on over to amanda-walker.com/Best Damn Coach, or when you hop on my page, just look in the upper right-hand corner and select Best Damn Coach. You can learn more about the program. We meet live weekly. We have accountability sessions. We have an open community on Facebook. You will also get access to what we call our coaching vault and our business vault, which are done for you resources. So you don't have to waste time looking around or Googling for hours. We've literally created anything and everything that you might need inside of your coaching practice. And I would love to have you join this powerful group of practitioners who are on a mission to serve the world. Welcome to the show, everyone. The energy of podcasting today. This is third try. It's going to be a charm. The amazing Melissa Reynolds is joining me today, and I'm going to repeat this intro that I've said many times, but I've had the luxury of just that's so timely that I used the word luxury, by the way. I had the luxury of watching her grow over the last few years as a businesswoman, but as a woman in general, and also as the most stunning photographer. And so today she's joining to talk about her journey as a client, and more importantly, the journey that she takes women on inside her photography business. So welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh. I think I'm happy that the internet wasn't working, because energetically, I think I just needed 10 intros, kind of like an encore, you know?
Yes, totally.
Made me feel so good about myself.
Good. It should. Well, you're deserving. So I'm excited to dive into your journey and our journey together, and, how that's transpired over the years. You do one of the things that I think so many women have blocks around, and that's photographer. You get to shoot women in some of the most beautiful and, intimate and vulnerable ways. And so we're going to talk a little bit about giving ourselves permission to just be photographed. And also you're going to give some tangible tips that can help, even if you're not an entrepreneur listening to this, which the majority of the listeners are, by the way, but some tangible tips on how to create luxury experiences using your iPhone or whatever you might be sharing with us. So I'm excited to have you. Before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the episode, I'd love for you to just share with the listeners how you got to what you do now. So give us maybe a couple minute backstory on where you began and how you serve women specifically in your business now.
Yeah. So how I serve women now is I really help women, entrepreneurs, and even just moms too, like raising their families, like women in leadership roles, rise up to the occasion to step into their power and be seen and be visible and experience a luxury photo shoot that helps them really step into that role. Because so often everyone else sees who we are and what we're about, and they see all the goodness that we're doing. A lot of times we can't get past that. And we're like, how do you see that in me? Where I can't see it, right? So that's where luxury photo shoots really help women, is we help you see all the goodness that you are.
I love that. Can you take us back though? Like, how did your journey into photography start?
So how far back do you want to go, Amanda? Like my childhood? Because that's really where it started.
Yeah. I mean, where did the inspiration come from? And when did you know, like, I'm going to do this like for a living?
I had the opportunity to be raised in an entrepreneurial family. My dad is a landscaper by trade, and he's an excellent visionary, and that transfers into salesman. He actually was the person who got me to think and sold me on the idea that I was capable to do whatever it is that I wanted. And as a little girl, wearing my mother's lipstick all the time, doing my hair and makeup in the bathroom after school for fun, I wanted to feel beautiful. And then that transferred into those little wind-up cameras. Me and my friend, we'd take photos of ourselves, of each other, just all dolled up and pretty. And it's as simple as that. Like I started very young, wanting to feel beautiful and being proud of, how I looked and how I felt in whatever clothes I was wearing. It just kind of transferred into really wanting to help other people feel that feeling that I got from stepping in front of the camera and seeing beauty. Like when it first really started clicking was my cousin was homeschooled, and she was graduating, and I was like, we need to get some senior photos of you. And she's like, will you take some of me? You love to do hair and makeup. And I was more excited about that side of it. And then my dad said, here's a camera. This is how you use it. And he gave me his really nice camera. And when we got the photos back, I'll never forget it because it was dark outside. They were sitting in the living room, my dad and my mom, and we had just come back from Walmart with the developed photos. And I looked through and I thought they were pretty good, but I kind of, just set them on the counter. My dad picked them up and was in the living room, and he's like, Melissa, come in here. And I'll never forget it because he was looking through them and being just my dad. He didn't tell me anything. He started asking me questions, and he said, so tell me about this. Did you have fun taking these photos? And I said, yeah, I had so much fun. And he said, what one is your favorite? Why? And he said, did you like doing this? And there for a while, like I thought I was going to be in trouble or something because questions usually led to trouble for me growing up because I was a little bit of a wild child. But, it was really cool when he looked at me. And that was the first time that I ever really remember someone believing in my capability to make a living off of something that I enjoyed doing. Because up until that point, I was looking and grasping around at all my classmates, thinking like, what can I do to serve the world? Maybe I'll be a marine biologist. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. And all had to do with things that I quote unquote thought were successful businesses, right? Like, this is how much you'll make being a marine biologist, which I suck at anything science. And he was the first person that really believed in me when I had no idea what it even looked like to believe in myself, to go for something. And he gave me that permission to go for it. And so I went to college, learned the basics, and then was like, oh, I'm just going to be a photographer. And that was it. And I've just kept that vision.
That's so cool. I love hearing the stories. My dad, depending on the relationship you've had with your dad, but for me personally and for you, because we've talked about it before, their self-belief, they are such a driver, right, for that father-daughter relationship. It's like when dad believes in me, it's like I feel like invincible. Like, okay, yes, I can do this. So it's interesting hearing that, from you as well.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about just me when I met you, which was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. You were in the thick of having babies. If you're a mother, you can relate. Like when your kids are all, under the age of 2, 3, 4, 5, you're trying to reestablish a connection to yourself, trying to get new routines and establish new identity as a mom, but also a woman that knows how to take care of herself. So I had the luxury of having you as a client then, which we recorded an episode on. You can go back and check out Melissa's old episode. We'll put the link into the show notes. Since then, though, what I have seen is a woman totally like explode into, new identities. I'll use that in plural, as you've not only transformed in who you are as a mom and a woman, but also as a business owner. You've gotten a lot more clarity around who it is that you want to serve and letting go of who you think you should serve as a photographer. So I'd love to maybe hit on this question. How have you given yourself permission or what has been the catalyst for you to continue this growth journey that you've been on when you could have easily said, cool, I'm here, I'm going to stay, I'm going to, hang out in this place where you were years ago. What do you feel like you attribute that ongoing success to?
Yeah. I think being very real about it, continually trying to put myself in rooms where I'm the small fish, coaching, investing in coaching when people around you and your family specifically, let's just say family members, have never experienced it. And they're like, why did you just invest like your whole salary into coaching? And, I think that's a really big part of my growth is surrounding myself with people who have challenged me to step outside of what I think I need to be. And honestly, them challenging me and proposing the question of who do you want to be? And them not forcing any ideas upon me to say like, well, this is what you need to do. This is what I've done for success. This is, I've been in the coaching world, I guess, quote unquote, since I've had all my babies for about 4 years. Like you said, you were one of my first coaches and, I've circled back around here and there because we've both grown and energies align. When you hire someone who just levels you up by proposing great questions, I think that just really helps you blossom and puts you in a space to take back control of who you are choosing to be.
Yeah, well said. So we've talked a lot on the podcast over, this month around the idea of getting out of our own way. And if you haven't listened to the whole series, by the way, and you're catching Melissa's episode for the first time this January, I really encourage you to go back and listen to the 4-part series called How to Get Out of Your Own Way in 2023. Because I think that at the end of the day, me personally, this is just my own opinion. If I were to boil down what I do as a coach, it's that I just help clients get out of their own way, right? Because we all have blind spots and we all have these results we want to create. And as we go through the motions and take the action to achieve the goals, then that is where we fall, we become hopefully self-aware of our blind spots, and a coach can come alongside you and help you maneuver through them. But I'm curious from your perspective, because I've seen you get out of your own way a lot over the last few years, and you'll even articulate those words to me. I mean, I can count probably multiple times where you're like, I know I'm just getting in my own way. What do you feel like are tools in your toolbox, or maybe a pivotal coaching discussion or a nugget in your mind that has really been influential for you to get out of your own way and keep moving forward towards, creating the life and the business that you really want?
Yeah, I think like putting this in the context of business specifically, I don't typically get to talk too much about business, right? And in mine, it's all about creative and creating the art. And that has such a beautiful place. But in the context of business, like getting out of your own way, like I think my biggest nugget that has just recently come about is in business, we could always get bogged down. And you've recently seen this from me. I'm constantly grasping out for those questions. I'm like, Amanda, help me with this. What is your take on this? Amanda, help me, save me. Please, please, please. Right. And, sometimes you have to go through that. And Amanda also can attest that I have many Voxers that say, do not listen to the above.
Yes,
Do
you
not
coach
listen
yourself, which I freaking love. And that's the beauty of Voxer is clients coach themselves and they can go back and listen. That's just a side note, but I love that part of it. And I love that you're aware of that.
Yeah. So what's really helped me in my own business, because I think a lot of in business, like you have to sell yourself, you have to sell your services, you have to sell how you can help people, right? I realize what's been a really big block for me is me thinking people need me. And I think this is really, challenged me to think about luxury different. I grew up in a middle class. My dad actually, we were very middle class, but if I just actually went to my dad and asked, my dad landscapes in the Yellowstone Club. It's a billionaire club, What I realize is when you're looking at like luxury services or high ticket things, if you're looking to sell something to people and you're saying you need this, that's the wrong mindset. You're literally presenting something and giving people the permission to want something is so much more impactful, because when we really look at wants versus needs, you only really need water, shelter, and food, right? Mm-hmm. But when you look at like anything else, it really is a want. And when you're on the luxury side of things, it's a higher ticket price. So it's going to bring up more emotion for people. And what it truly honestly boils down to is for me, what I've realized is it's boiled down to childhood stories a lot. And it's really boiled down to how you're viewing like what you think you deserve. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, we were so often told like, you tell your parents, I want this, and they say no, because we don't need that. We don't need this. I just told my kids that the other day. They don't need everything, but at the same time, like that story can transfer into your adulthood. So often we're denying ourselves what we want because it's more realistic to go for what we need, right? Like put our head down, get the work done, which is a great thing. But when you're wanting to up level, I think where a lot of people can benefit is letting themselves actually want something and give themselves permission to experience it for the hell of it. There's a little kid in all of us that just freaking wants something because we want it. Like, think back to your childhood. Was there something that you ever really, really wanted that you were just told no constantly? And you have no idea why you really wanted it, but you never were really given the permission to go for it.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing this part up. And I think I want to add to that and just keep the dialogue rolling around part of what I talked about in one of the earlier series around getting out of your own way is the notion of goal setting. And I think we have it completely wrong when it comes to goal setting because we're so focused on the goal, right? We're like, the goal, make it smart, do all these things about it. Yay, 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 which I'm not dismissing. Like, I do think there is relative and we should set goals. But the more I go through this journey and the more I help clients, I think it's more about becoming in the process of achieving that goal. And so the question that I know you and I both have dialogue around constantly is, who do I have to become in order to have that thing that I want? And I do think that some will deny this, but I think this is really important. When you're an entrepreneur, like one of the things that many of us want is this most stunning, like Beyonce energy, like I don't know, gritty, like power. Maybe it's sexy, athletic. I don't know, whatever that is for your brand. But I don't know very many girls that don't want to feel like a movie star in front of a camera and totally own that. And I do think, though, that experience is part of becoming. It's like who you have to show up as on that day of the shoot isn't like the Amanda that was there 4 hours ago. Like, you have to do work when you're in front of a camera. Like, it's a whole bunch of mind stuff. Like, who am I to? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, am I worthy of feeling this good behind the camera? But that small experience is explosive to how you will show up in your business after. And that's the connection that I want people to make, not just with what you do, but the entire journey. Is like, who do you have to become to have the thing? You have to be the person that does a power every hour, every day. And it's a non-negotiable. You have to be the person that goes live when she says she's going to go live. You have to be the person that orders the fancy, sparkly blazer because you just want to, and that's what you want to wear in your shoot. And I think we have to kind of reset our mindset around goals and realize it's the journey of achieving that matters way more than the goal itself.
Agree so much. I've had this kind of like tagline that I've talked to people about for years, and it's just become so apparent and even reinforced over the years is the photos really are the goodie bag. It's taking the action towards treating yourself like how you actually view yourself. Do you view yourself as worthy of this? Do you view yourself as the person who, can achieve that? You have to do the daily work to get there, because I think the biggest mistakes that I like to talk about in my industry is so many people or photographers, we try to use emotions to get people to sell. Like, you don't feel confident in your body, do a photo shoot. You don't feel this, do a photo shoot. And when people say like, I need a confidence boost, that's like a really big red flag for me, because I want to be real and honest with people that I work with. Is I'm not here as like a token to put in your confidence bag. Like, I'm here to co-create with you and help you bring this vision to life. But you have to feel that energy first, because I can't give that to you.
Yeah.
Like, I can help you co-create, but I'm not going to give my energy to someone who is just needing something from me. Right.
Yes. And you're not the magic pill, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because Melissa shoots me, I'm not going to show, I have to do the internal work, which is where I think is your sweet sauce as a photographer. I've never met anybody quite like you that does photography, because you get that. And truthfully, because you've invested so much in yourself and you walk the walk, right? You are constantly, thirsty for growth in yourself. And that is conveyed through your people up tenfold. And I think anybody inside the community, our community that you've been a part of, would hands down, agree with that.
Yeah. It's so eye-opening what you subject yourself to, in the sense of what energy you bring to a photo shoot and who you let photograph you too. Because your photographer can also have an impact on how you view yourself, good and possibly, maybe not so helpful. Because if they're coming to a photo shoot with a mindset of, oh, this is a mini session, and we're just going to book this real quick and I'm going to get her in and out, and it's just another face, like what I absolutely love about boudoir photography is like the intimacy of it. But what really actually kind of makes me giggle is why people are so drawn to it is because 90% of the images, you don't see your face. Which is so terrifying for women. Yeah. They're like, just focus on the little parts of me that I'm okay with. Yeah. But if I actually have to look into my eyes and love a photo of me, not just with a smile plastered on my face, that's really scary for me. And that's where I love to go with my clients, the parts that you're scared of, because it's this big monster hiding in the closet, and you open the closet and you're like, oh, that's not a monster. That's just me. Yeah. And actually, I really love that woman looking back at me in that photo. Yeah. Because she has that crooked little smile and that little thing in her eye that, my husband says I give him that look all the time, Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of when you start to level up in how you want to see yourself, you have to start surrounding yourself with the right people, the right photographers, the right coaches that are going to help you get to where you want to go. And you have to stop looking at it from, I need this person, and start looking at it as this person can teach me so much. I have a lot to learn, and let's step up to the plate and start going for it.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. One question just about our journey together. And then I want to talk a little bit about my experiences with you, and just talk a little bit about what luxury is and how we can, the tangible stuff. So I'm thinking back, we've had the opportunity to work together for nearly a year, and I'm curious, how has our time together influenced you? What are some of the nuggets that you feel like, if you think before and after, almost where you were versus where you are now? I am curious. Let's compare some notes, because I want to celebrate you as well. What for you has been instrumental in your progress over our time together?
Yeah. So having a small group of women has been really helpful for me to know that I'm not alone in entrepreneurship. I think sometimes I love to intentionally put myself in the, it's only me bucket, right?
Right.
So what's been really instrumental, I love what you do with your coaching as far as I'm going to butcher the word. What do you do in your coaching? You say it because it's like the visualization type stuff.
I mean, hypnosis or NL, or I think you mean specifically QTT. You're referring
QTT.
to a form of that. Yes.
Yeah, that was really big for me. It challenged my faith life a lot. And I would say like the other thing that you have helped, what's been really instrumental is you're not really beating around the bush like you're a coach. I really appreciate that about you, about actually coaching me instead of being my friend, because I needed a coach.
Absolutely.
So that was question number one. Sorry, what was the next part to that?
Oh, just where you've seen your progress, like what for you has been really pivotal in your business.
There's always going to be another story to unravel and to edit, rewrite. I think that happened a lot for even me just showing like a side of me in my faith and revealing that to people who were close to me, like you guys. It's changed my mindset on just putting in the daily work even.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it.
That's where I think I've seen your progress the most, is being able to call out those stories that exist that allow us to escape the day in and day out monotonous, unsexy work that carry our business through, right? We're in a time now where, I mean, through COVID and current, I think there's a lot of blaming we could do, right? Because COVID, because recession, because change, because all these things, right? And what we have to do to be a thriving business through all of these peaks and valleys that will exist is double down on the grittiness that's required, right? Clean out the systems, let go of the stories, take ownership. And I've personally just seen you do so much of that this year.
Yeah, actually, I'd love to share this one little thing, because when you said like there's so many stories. So the video part of this, Amanda can see a green bracelet on my, what is it? My right wrist. So this is my bracelet. It's a challenge for myself to not complain at all for 30 days. I'm on day one. This is day 3 of day 1. And yesterday I had to switch it to the other wrist because I complained at 8:30 in the morning. And until like you implement little routines and habits that make you aware of the behavior that you want to change, it is not going to change, because this little skill has taught me so much in the past 3 days, and my mood has just improved because I've been accountable to the person that I want to become. Mm-hmm. And I had to be honest, like, I said Tilly's name because she did something that I didn't like. And I said it in a complaining manner. That's a lose for me.
Yeah. You know, in our world, I've taught you cause and effect, but it's always that cause. That's how, like, my motto in my life is I'm going to always be at cause, which means I'm taking full ownership. I'm not blaming, and it's my responsibility to be honest and fully open and transparent with myself to make progress. So what you do, you know, is really a luxury experience. So I'd love for you to just share, what does luxury mean to you specifically?
Well, first, I want to be honest. It's a want, not a need, right? And I think there's so much freedom in that, to want what you want and don't apologize for it. Now it's your responsibility to get it if you really do want it, or stop talking about it.
Mic drop. Yes.
Yes. It's really interesting when you dive into luxury, because, you know, when we think of luxury brands, for instance, we think of Gucci, we think of, you know, couture, we think of Vogue magazine, we think of Vanity Fair, we think of celebrities, we think of gold, we think of like pie that just melts in your mouth. We think of experience, right? The cool thing about luxury is it's being able to take people to a place that they've never been in a simplest of ways. And my way of doing that is giving them an experience in front of the camera that they've never experienced before. And leading up into that experience, it's giving emotional energy that other photographers don't give. It's asking the hard questions. It's also like posing the questions of like when they bring me, you know, consultations for clothing, which is the funniest thing. People get so hung up on clothing. That's what will make people like say like, oh, I'm sick today, because they aren't confident in their clothing choices, right? I don't have that anymore, but I used to. But when I started stepping into luxury, it was really like giving people that permission to step into a side of themselves to experience a different level of things that they haven't experienced so they can bring it back to their everyday life. I mean, think of it. As a woman, as a mom, do you want to be that mom that wears her yoga pants all day and her comfy slippers, but she didn't have time to do her hair? She didn't have time to do, the little things that make her feel good. And she brings that energy back to her family. Or do you want to be the mom who, wakes up maybe even just 5 minutes before her kids to put on her favorite lip color so that she can, bring a better energy to her life?
For sure.
It's the photo shoots and luxury experiences do that. It's to almost give you perspective that you've never had about yourself. Because I'm a professional at seeing that in you. And that's what my skill sets are. I can see in people what they can't see of themselves. And my job in my career is based off of how to help you really feel it first and foremost, so that then you do see it in the photos and you can bring that energy back into your business and you can bring it into your life. And quite honestly, like, I want to work with the person who's confident in their Instagram. I want to work with the person who knows what they're doing. I want to work with the person who's invested with themselves. Yeah. But that's me, Well,
and that's what sets you apart. As you guys listen, we'll also drop her website, but her Instagram, because I think there is where you show you show so many great quick sneak peeks of behind the scenes of your shoots as well. But drilling down on what you said, luxury for me is an experience, right? It's not necessarily a one product or service. For you, because I've had the opportunity to learn so much about your experiences, I hear it, I'm like, I want that, right? Because it's hair, it's makeup, it's who you are, it's all day, it's really taking a woman's dream experience and packaging it up. And I think that we give ourselves permission to give this to other people as women. And yet, like, I'm thinking what comes to mind is taking your child to Disneyland, let's say, right? We will go at all lengths to have our kids have these lavish experiences. We'll buy them the fancy hats. We'll pay extra to do the special magical lunches, right? To make this a magical experience for them. And yet, as a woman, when was the last time you gave yourself permission to have that experience for you? Just because you hit 21 or 25 or 18, none of that goes away. We still want those core childlike experiences. And when you say yes to those things, I'll boil it down. You're just more content in your life. And it's not about the thing. It's like you said, it's the goodie bags or the pictures. It's about how you feel, through the experience and after.
Yeah. And something energetically happens when you say yes to your wants a little bit more, right? Or a lot more. Energetically, it shifts because you're saying yes to, I want this. You're in an abundance mindset versus the lack mindset is always defaulting going to, well, this is only what I need, right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to touch on that real quick. It's such a great, luxury photo shoots. Experiences in general are such a great growth opportunity for entrepreneurs because it is so uncomfortable for a woman, especially in photo shoots, to give up control of her hair, her makeup, put time and effort into her clothing choices and let someone else take the reins for a day. People usually leave so energy elevated that they're going to need a huge nap in about an hour or two because they just rose all this energy and their body's like, oh my gosh, that was cool. Okay, let's go sleep for a minute and process this.
Yeah, totally. So let's go to one final place before we wrap up. And I know you have some tactical, tips, some tangible things to offer those listening that are brands, coaches, service providers that are growing their brand and they want to give a feeling and portray luxury and power. So maybe you can just offer kind of any insight you have on some action we can take on our own outside of when we're investing in these experiences like what you have to offer.
Yeah. So I'm going to be very technical here because I think that'll help you guys the most. So we're going to talk about iPhone or just a cell phone when you're taking photos of yourself for your reels or, for your post, right? So let's talk about camera angle. Says a lot about what energy you are bringing to the photo. If you want to share something vulnerable with people, you need to have your camera at a higher angle than your eyeballs.
Cool.
Because it's psychologically putting you in a vulnerable position. So that's helpful. It'll connect on a deeper level to people because they're like, ooh, this is vulnerable for her. Like it's just psychological, right? If you want to show up in a powerful way to people, you want your camera to be your camera lens to be slightly lower than your eyeballs, because you are giving that sense of authority and I'm worth it to stand up nice and tall and look slightly down. And it's not that you're looking down at people. It's that you're saying, I'm worth standing this tall. Okay.
Love the reframe.
So those two, and when you look directly into the camera, the studies have been done on this, study after study, photos where people are looking into the camera lens directly. So just put like a little Post-it note of where your camera is, because so often we're looking at the screen and that's actually a disconnect for your viewer. Look straight into the camera. So put like a little Post-it to remind yourself, look here. That will actually grab people's attention a lot more. And do that as like a close-up.
You know, when you're like, if you're going live or even when you're recording too, you have that tendency to look at yourself, right? And it's constantly redirecting towards the camera and the connection you're making with somebody else.
Yeah. And that's huge for your viewer. Something happens with the eyes. I mean, studies have been done on that too, right? Like a baby who gets no eye contact actually lacks development. So that's a really big one. Another one is think of the colors that you're wearing. And I love this because color theory, I can talk about for days on days. Actually, me and Katie Allen should probably talk about this because as you notice, Amanda, I am wearing bright red lipstick because today I am the expert, right? I'm authority. Coca-Cola has red for a reason. There's a whole book on red and domination, power, all of that. So red is a very quick way to get people's attention because of the frequency. Something about the frequency and the color. There's studies on that too. Wear solid colors for your clothing if you want to grab attention.
And this is all like, take this with context, right? And I want to say that you're talking about intentional tips. And also like, don't not put it out there because you're like trying to be all perfect, because you are such a great testament of like, we could get stuck in analysis paralysis all the time, but these quick tactical things can have a long-term positive influence on the way you show up through social media or whatever content you're producing.
Yeah. Like your goal should always be get it out first and foremost. This would be like pat on the back, right? Like building that consistency of how you show up, because like wearing a solid color shirt takes like 2 seconds if you plan it. You're like, oh, tomorrow I'm wearing this because I'm doing a post on this. Or blocking it for, block out an hour of your day where you actually get ready and feel really good about yourself and do 5 posts using those tips that I gave you. And they all are different posts. One's a vulnerable post. One's a powerful post. One is capture the viewer of the eye post. Like, there's so much variety in there that you can get in such a short period of time if you are intentional and you go for what you want.
To your point with color theory and lipstick too, right? When I forget what the data is, but you have like less than a second, right, to capture, depending on which platform you're on, right? Some of them are very aesthetic driven, like Instagram, others like Twitter, right? It's content driven. So you have to think about, which platform, obviously pictures. I mean, Twitter actually does have a lot of pictures on it now, but being intentional with that and understanding that when we're trying to establish credibility too, to get the attention of somebody to, let's say, read the caption or stop at the reel, these are things that it's a version of unconscious rapport that we don't really know is happening with our people.
Yeah, there's so many ways to connect with people without actually talking that we're not utilizing that. And we're draining a lot of our energy trying to talk instead of visually even get people's attention. Do something different. Like on my story today, I just posted a story of just a really close up of my lips with the lipstick going on.
Love it.
That, people usually stay at one distance, get really close, get very far away. Good. Do different.
Yeah, I love that. Do different. Okay, amazing. Well, I'm so grateful for your time today and sharing all the tips and reflection and our journey together. I would love for you to share where people can find you. So when they listen to this and they're like, I need Melissa in my life, they know where to go.
Yes. And you want Melissa in your life, right?
Yes. Very true.
And it makes me feel good that people would want to need me. So first and foremost, I'd say I'm most active on Instagram, and it's at Melissa Reynolds Co. If you want more of my personal, it's the Melissa Reynolds. And that's a whole different side of me that I bring to my business in little bits of. But my business is Melissa Reynolds Co. And that's where all my magic happens behind the camera. And my website, to be honest, Amanda, I'm just going to be transparent and say I don't really want to direct people there right now because I'm working on a new website that reflects like where I am more. So if you really want to contact me, go through there, but the messaging is very different than what I'm putting out there right now through my Instagram. And it's not perfect, but it's going a direction I want to go.
Progress. That's what it is. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Grateful for all the tips and for you sharing your journey.
Thank you. As always, I appreciate you.
Likewise. One of the most important things you will ever do as a coach is ask questions. So I've put together a simple go-to resource that you can have in your back pocket as a coach of 10 powerful questions I believe every coach should know. So go ahead and head on over to amanda-walker.com/questions to grab yours now.